to True Story with John Gibson. Today's episode is a year-end review of the podcast itself. I wanted to take an opportunity to speak to you, the viewers, speak to you, the listeners, do a special thank you to so many of the guests, and maybe tell a couple behind the scenes sort of favorite moments, kind of share those with you as well. So first and foremost, I'm going to just kind of free flow this. I have a ton of notes to help keep me on track because there's so many special people that have really made this possible. So I want to make sure to give them the special attention I feel like they deserve. But before that, I want to kind of go backwards and say, like, how did we get to 67 episodes? Well, like the short answer is, I don't really know. Some hard work, some persistence, and some help. And I mean, that's, I guess, the formula, right? But I've had at least 4 or 5 people, which doesn't sound like a lot, but 4 or 5 people that are close to me share with me that, hey, John, I've wanted to do this, or I've always wanted to podcast. And I felt very honored by that. Each time these people have done that, and I've encouraged all of them. And I've said the same thing each time. I've said, if I can do this, anyone can do this. This was just a silly thought. You know, I loved a lot of podcasts. And I've met a lot of really interesting people in my life. And then, you know, I've been inspired by a lot of people. And that's how this kind of thought became a reality. It was just that. COVID hit. Candidly, I was going through a lot of turmoil personally. My son was newly diagnosed with with ASD, with being on the spectrum. A lot of conflict at work, just a lot going on. And, you know, my biggest coping skill, a lot of times anyway, is training. And that was completely taken away. You know, commercial gyms were taken away. So I wasn't able to lift weights. Cool, let's work out at home. And I did that, and I did it every day, but it was limiting. And then if you guys are aware or not, you know, this is a true story. I had some huge injuries last year, just huge injuries. I broke my neck. I had to get my neck fused. I ended up rupturing my bicep, tore it off my arm, tore it off the bone, had to get it reattached, which I'm still rehabbing from. So with that, it completely disrupted my plans, my objectives for BJJ, all these things I had, you know, like all of us, you know, pre-COVID, you know, I think we all had plans, you know, and it was all different. So there I was, sleepless nights with a lot of manic energy. And I just said, you know what, I'm going to hit record. And I did it. And you guys, I'm equally embarrassed and proud of the evolution of the show. We got a long way to go. You know, we're not there yet, but man, I look back at the first 5, 6, 7 episodes, and I'm really proud of how far we've come. Again, if I could do this, anyone can do it. Please, people, go and check them out. You know, it was just me with a rinky-dink microphone and no backdrop, no lights, nothing. You know, I was doing all my own editing and everything as well too. So it's possible, you know, I did it all from an iPhone, if you believe it. It's crazy. But it's out there, and I'm proud of it because I had some awesome guests that were brave enough to join me and share stories about their lives. And you know, with that, I've just been really lucky. I've been really lucky with kind of the participation and the partners I've had, because, you know, if it's just me mumbling like it is today, nobody would listen, because I don't even want to hear me talk this much. So with that, let me transition a little bit. I do want to give some very, very special shout outs and thank yous. Let me just be political and say thank you to every single guest that has ever been on the show. I swear I mean that from the bottom of my heart. So I want to acknowledge everybody, but I need to also take some time and give a couple special shout outs. And I have a little list here of some folks that I feel deserve some recognition. They have gone out of their way to help this show grow. They have co-promoted. I've never asked them to either. And these are people that didn't just share their episode. They've shared other episodes. They comment, they like, they engage, they send me messages saying, hey, I listened to this episode, or, you know, and they encourage me along the way. So these are people that have championed me and championed this series. And I want to say thank you. And I'm going to just list their names. I love you all equally. And you know what you've done to support me. I want to say I also recognize it. And I thank you very much. So with that, I want to say thank you to Victor Martinez, Thank you to Robin Black. Thank you to David Terrel. Thank you to Johnny Case. Thank you to Seth Daniels. And thank you to Tabitha. Guys, thank you, and lady, thank you so much. Thank you. You all have done so much to encourage me and to help make this a reality. Let me look at the list here. Yes, 100% of these people were strangers to me. They were complete strangers to me until I reached out to them and asked them to come on this podcast. Every one of them I call a friend now, which is pretty cool. So thank you. Thank you all. With that, I wanted to share just a couple of behind the scenes moments, thoughts. A lot of the questions I received were about specific guests, and I don't want to give away too much, but yeah, I do just want to say a couple of really special moments for me. So if you haven't had an opportunity to check out these episodes, I hope you do. You'll gain some insight and into these really awesome, extraordinary people, but also people who like really inspired me. So if you're the least bit curious about what built this weird little mind of mine, these are the type of people that inspired me and kept me going along the way. So Aaron Scott is a very interesting episode. Everybody please check that out. He's my childhood friend. We literally met while taking the short bus to school, to our special ed classes. That man has gone on to achieve amazing things and is just an awesome living, breathing examples to other people. Has an amazing story, has a book out. It's on Amazon. I can't recall the name right now. And I read it, which is awful. However, he was, shot while he was in college and had pretty much life-altering experience there, and is now kind of a man of God and works with the youth, and a pretty amazing story there. So please go check that one out. Frank Shamrock, holy crap. I still have not gone back and listened to this episode yet because he's still that much of a superstar to me that I know that I just can't even hear myself mumble and I can't even do it. I'll embarrass myself. But guys, I never thought in a million years I would interview Frank Shamrock. I never thought the guy'd give me the time of day. The inspiration this man has given me over the years. Like our childhood is eerily similar, which is a shame. But his life is awesome. Again, amazing book. Check it out. Check out the podcast. That guy is just the man. He really is kind of like he was a hero for sure. He was a hero of mine growing up. And I think I avoided some mistakes because he made them for me ahead of me, and he talked about them and he put them in the book and he always shared them in interviews. But he was also a really good, classy guy too. I love Frank Shamrock. Awesome episode. Monica Brant. What can I say without blushing? Still, it's an honor. Really privileged, I guess, to call you a friend now. Again, just a dream come true. When I was a 15, 16-year-old kid working my first job and flipping through Flex magazine or Muscle and Fitness, I never would have thought that I would actually meet and talk to the prettiest lady in the world. So that was a really cool episode. You guys check that one out. Enson Inoue, MMA legend. Again, another guy I call a friend since the episode. That's a crazy one. You guys check out his life story. I don't want to give too much away, but these are just episodes I encourage people to check out. MMA legend, his fight in particular, Frank Shamrock. Again, something really special about what those two did in there. Yeah, they left part of their soul, man. It's amazing. Illustration of what humans can do. Not just athleticism. It's way more than the punches and the kicks. Check that fight out. Philbaroni. Oh my gosh, people. I had the privilege to hang out with BaronI after we did the episode. He's everything you think he is. He's actually everything he is. Like, what you see is what you get. That's Philbaroni. He's a cool guy. He's actually a very nice guy. I would say borderline harmless, in a weird way, he's a fighter. I think that's in him, but I think he's a prize fighter. That guy is not the pit bull he was at probably 22, great storyteller, super funny guy. And that episode just gets more comments and love than any other episode. That people, I guess, loved some Philbaroni. It's like the most popular episode. I'm gonna speed this up. You guys are probably so sick of me mumbling. I'm so sorry. Mark Kerr. this was another really important episode for me. We have stayed in contact, which is so cool. I really look forward to the movie coming out. The Rock is executive producing and starring as Mark Kerr, telling Mark Kerr's story all the way from amateur wrestling to the UFC championship. Post that. The Smashing Machine, that documentary really rocked my world in so many ways, And, it was a glimpse of the time of still early MMA, fighting in Japan, what that was like at the time, and the massive crowds. And Mark Kerr was a star, and he looked like Superman. So to me, as a young guy, I was like, holy crap, I want to look like that. And then I learned of his wrestling credentials, the Olympic credentials. He was a stud, so he was really easy to root for. Mark Kerr for a long time was a cautionary tale. And again, check out the documentary, check out our interview, but he's come through that. And he's been sober for a long time, and he volunteers, and he's a good dad, and he's active. And again, I'm really excited this movie is happening for him to tell a story, and that he isn't just some cautionary tale. The guy came through the other side of it, and he's still a respectable human being. And I think he needs to get some more love, and I'm sure he will once this movie comes out. People are going to remember the Smashing Machine. So go check out that episode. I'm going to wrap this up. Chris Leban said some words I needed to hear. And I'll just leave that there. It's kind of personal, but sometimes you just need to hear something at that moment, And he saved me from being self-destructive. So I appreciate you, Chris Leban. Jasper Hoffman, I love you, girl. And we've gone back a long ways. I want to say this because it's it's officially my most awkward moment on the show. And so I have not gone back and listened to Jasper's episode because of it. However, I giggle to myself about it at least once a week. There's some point in the show where I ask her a question that's like way out of bounds. And she checked me, as Jasper should, and said something like, "Are you asking me about my parents right now?" or something like that. And it was hilarious. And I remember giggling because it's like, slow down, Joe Rogan, like, chill, John. So I appreciate that. And it was a good learning lesson. And it was luckily done by somebody who I know and trust and have like really good love for. Like, Jasper's awesome. So that's just a funny thing I giggle about at least once a week. And then last but not least, again, this is a funny one considering the climate of professional bodybuilding, but Bob Chiccarello, man, I loved my episode with Bob Chiccarello. That guy is forthcoming. He's really down to earth. He's straightforward. He's seen it all. He's done it all. And from like a historian perspective, I appreciate that guy. I think he's going to be the next Peter McGuff. I really do. And again, he said something I needed to hear. It was shortly after my neck fusion. And, he talked about athletes retiring and how they typically go kicking and screaming. And I literally remember, if you guys watch it, I'm squirming in my seat because I knew it was my time and I needed to make the call. And I had to hear that in that moment. So I think about old Bob Chiccarello all the time. With that is all my notes. Everybody, thank you so much. If there's more questions, please leave them in the comments or message me directly, and I'm happy to answer them. So much more is in store. This show is growing leaps and bounds, like week over week. It's pretty crazy, the metrics. And I just have you guys to thank for that. It's all been a surprise to me. We have some awesome guests lined up, and I'm not just saying that to tease you. I'm just as surprised as you are sometimes, but some of the people that kind of grace us on this platform. So with that, this is the year-end review of True Story with me, your host, John Gibson. Happy holidays, everybody. Thank you so much. Like, subscribe, ring the bell, support the show, tell a friend. But thank you so much. Happy holidays.